with a triple-double at age 40. The first was Karl Malone in 2003. LeBron had 21 points, 13 assists, and 10 rebounds. The Lakers play Boston Thursday night at Crypto.com. The final Associated Press Top 25 College Football Poll, which came out Tuesday, should give USC and UCLA a lot to think about after moving to the Big Ten Conference last year. 3 of the top 5 teams are in the Big Ten. National champion Ohio State, number 3 Oregon, and number 5 Penn State. Indiana, which also made the 12-team playoffs, finishes the season at number 10. It could be a while before USC and UCLA become contenders in football in the Big Ten. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Ow! Here they come, y'all. Here they come. Here they come, y'all. Here they come.
Get out the way. Ooh.
First things first with Dominique DiPrima at 6 a.m. Tavis Smiley at 9 a.m. Truth Time with Dr. Cornell West and Nina Turner at 12 noon. Here they come, y'all. Here they come. Here they come, y'all. Here they come.
Get out the way. Get out the way. Get out the way.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show at 1 p.m. The D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show at 2 p.m. A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nee Quarterly Forte at 4 p.m. Here they come, y'all. Here they come. Here they come, y'all. Here they come.
Get out the way. Get out the way. Get out the way.
Tune in weekdays from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. for the talk of the town. Only on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about. Here they come, y'all. Here they come.
White diamonds, 2 a.m. she wildin'. She sick, got they stomach in her comments. What school you went to? Gardena, Compton, Westchester, King, True, did we function? Lil, what that dog gave me, that's on pup. All my kids are sucking up. Have you ever took a fade and ran 3 more back to back? Oh, you haven't? Then shut the up and keep it rap. I'm from the land. Don't say you hate LA when you don't travel past the 10. Am I tripping? Yes, I am. Meditate over some money. I see Franklin, I find Van. I'm from the land. Don't say you hate LA, but live in LA and pretend. My neck on Tarantino, Alejandro slightly. Just know you took the scenic route if you stand by me, stupid.
So fly in this 50 on me, don't die trying it. You know I'm up and down when I slide in this. Beamers and the jets outside in this. West side, get the money, yeah, that's for sure. Streets don't love you, better respect the code. Ain't no sleeping in on Sunday. If it's about the money, then my don't go.
When I walk in, yo, yeah, break neck. It's unanimous, high pop.
When I walk in, gotta get in check. You looking at a bad, nothing less.
Walk.
KBLA Talk 1580. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about today, and I'm very excited to welcome in an entrepreneur. He's worked with many a celebrity and many a not celebrity, an entrepreneur. He is a master of, among other things, marketing, promotion, and branding. Chris Kazi, welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
Thank you for coming into the studio.
Indeed. Thank you for having me.
You know, I think we're in an era where everything is a brand.
Yeah.
People are brands, cups are brands, radio stations are brands.
Right.
Why is that important? I mean, I kind of, on the one hand, I know you have to have a representation in business, but on the other hand, there's part of me that kind of pushes back and says, I'm not a brand. I'm an activist. I'm a person. I'm an artist.
Yeah.
You know.
I think people only have a certain amount of space in their brain to kind of organize their life and how they interact with the world, and so people like to put things in boxes, and so a brand really just means you're recognized. All right. You know, let's say you and I, we're at an event, and because we've interacted for a couple years now. I'll see you at the event and be like, oh, there goes Dominique, you know, and I say hi, and you'll see me, and you know, we'll say hi to each other. And so we recognize each other. And so in a world where everyone has access to the internet, everyone is putting out content, how do people recognize you? So you have to be distinct. And that's what a brand really is.
I mean, it's a good way of putting it because it sounds less corporate. And we kind of started out the day today talking about selling out and being overly slick and, you know, what's happening in hip hop in the Trump era. But your agency is Kazi Creative Agency. You're the co-founder of that. Yeah. So what does that mean? What do you do?
What I do is I help people become more recognized. There's a bigger meaning behind it, and I guess we'll get to that. But simply put, there are people out there who are entrepreneurs, they are creatives, and they're out to serve people. And maybe I'll start with the mission. That'll make it make more sense.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
You know, I'm from foster care, and my mom and other angels I met across my journey, they don't really like the limelight like that. Even when I go home, I'm from the Bahamas. When I go home and I try to thank my mom, because I definitely put her through some stuff, I love how she kind of diverts away from that.
You're talking about your biological mom?
My foster mom.
Your foster mom, okay.
Yeah, she shies away from that. And along my journey, there's been angels who have helped me. And I think there's something just so special about that. People who are out to serve and do good, but because they don't really like the limelight, that doesn't get recognized. And so I have a lot of gifts and talents. And if I were to, I think my purpose is to amplify people like that, people who are serving others and making the world better, because I would not be here if it wasn't for people like that. So along my journey, as I meet people and I like what they're doing, or I think, you know, they're powerful and they need more visibility, I say, well, that's what I want my work to do. I've done multiple things along the journey, but, you know, when you find your purpose, you're like, all right, this is my pocket. And so that's what our agency does.
You feel that when you find your purpose.
Indeed.
Yeah, but it's interesting. I love that you say that, because something about folks that come out of foster care that have this extra hustle, this extra drive.
Indeed.
What is that?
You know, for a long time I used to say, why me? You know, and I think there's just something of you're questioning, why am I here? Why is this happening to me? And then if you go to the positive, because they say the villain and the superhero are the same, they have undergone the same trauma, and they make the hero makes a choice to not let it to succumb and hate people, you know, as a result. And so I think people who come from foster care, who overcome, because there are a lot of us who feel the other systems. If you track the numbers, that's where a lot of the prisons are filled with prostitution, people trying to find belonging. But I think they are asking why so much that you land at, hey, there's a purpose for my life, and I'm supposed to do something good. I'm supposed to change the world. In fact, talking about superheroes, do you know that most of the superheroes are from foster care? Superman.
I did not know that.
Spider-Man, Batman.
Well, Spider-Man lives with his aunt.
But they call that kinship. That's
kinship
foster
care. Yeah, you're right.
And you know, so there's something there that happens to people who I think sometimes you go through trauma and challenges to bring something out of you. Yeah. You know, we did say pressure makes diamonds.
Yeah, there's a book called Cradles of Eminence. It's an old book. It talks about how a lot of the people that are innovators or get to a certain level of greatness, they come out of difficult backgrounds. Difficult backgrounds.
Indeed.
And so would you say your company, Kazi Creative, because of that, is a socially innovative business?
Yeah, you know, many years ago, I became aware of social entrepreneurship. So, yeah, I would say that we are, you know, taking the traditional methods of marketing, branding, and moving that over to people, because I specifically focus on personal brands. I can do really anything, businesses as
Yeah,
well.
you're a serial entrepreneur, for sure.
And
I mean, for sure, because you have Together Apart, which is a relationship company. You have Super Mega Foods.
Right.
But you and I, we said today we were going to talk about branding.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, one of the reasons is I believe, my own observation, that many people, exactly the people you're talking about, even the ones that like the spotlight, but many activists, community organizers, and artists just do not understand branding and aren't good at it.
Yeah. They're the service delivery. But sometimes you need it packaged in a palatable way. There's a lot of psychology to it. I think many of us are out to everybody's what's in it for me, even the service provider, and the customer is really more about them. And so sometimes you need someone who knows how to put it together to get it to the customer in a way that's palatable to them. And so, that's where someone like myself come in. Now, a lot of times people don't understand branding, which has been challenging along my journey. Because like you highlighted, I'm involved in a lot of different things. But wherever I am on whatever team I'm on, that's the role I play. So like when Together Apart, which is, matchmaking and relationship coaching. What am I doing? I'm helping people to package and present themselves to find a partner to be in their company,
Which is kind of branding.
Yeah, it really is.
In a way.
Well, and that's the thing that people have to recognize. You are a brand. When you walk in the room, something comes with you. And when you leave out the room, something leaves. People say things about you. In many ways, your brand is your reputation.
Right.
It's how people think about you. When you think of your grandmother, your aunt, your cousin, they're a brand. They bring something with them. And so when you think of it like that, branding is not so, over there. It's not so corporate, like you mentioned. And so that's the role I play on a lot of the teams, just to show them how to package themselves and get themselves to the customer in a way that the customer is looking. That's a key part. A lot of us are always thinking about what we want to do, what we're out to do. Is really about kind of even reversing that and seeing what is the problem I solve and how can I get my solution to that customer.
I love that. What is the problem I solve and how can I get that solution to the customer? We're talking with Chris Kazi Creative Agency, and the phone lines are open if you have a question or you want to hop in the conversation. It's 800-920-1580. Our brand, unapologetically progressive, KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580. Now that Donald J. Trump has begun a second term as president, please join the Empowerment Congress and KBLA Talk 1580 to examine the question, where do we go from here? Chaos or democracy? At the Charles R. Drew University of Medicine and Science. This Saturday, January 25th, some of LA's top elected officials, Representative Sidney Kamlager Dove, Assembly members Isaac Bryan and Sade El-Hawari will be on hand for what promises to be a lively and informative conversation. Doors open at 8 a.m. The general session, moderated by Tavis Smiley and broadcast live on KBLA Talk 1580, begins at 9 a.m. The event is free, but seating is limited. Registration is required. Go to the Empowerment Congress website at www.empowermentcongress.org to register. Where do we go from here? Chaos or democracy? Join the Empowerment Congress and KBLA Talk 1580 this Saturday, January 25th. Doors open at 8 a.m. The free program starts at 9 a.m. Registration is required at www.empowermentcongress.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. Are you a recent college graduate with a dream of getting a high-paying job in sales? A job where you can grow a lucrative career in multi-platform audio, digital, podcast, social media, and local events, along with world-class training and career growth opportunities. KBLA Talk 1580, located in historic Leimert Park, is currently hiring entry-level account executives for outside sales. Join a team featuring radio hosts Tavis Smiley, Dr. Cornell West, Jesse Jackson Jr., D.L. Hughley, Dr. Nee Cordelai-Corte, Zoe Williams, and our very own Dominique DiPrima. For more information on attending our upcoming career fair, contact SMB at KBLA1580.com today.
Work.
time is up. The IRS is in full collection mode for 2024, issuing liens, levies, and garnishments to anyone who has a past tax debt or unfiled tax returns. Don't wait till it's too late. Your paycheck and bank accounts are at risk of being seized. Call now and stop the collection process today. If you're living check to check, no matter how much you're making, you still may qualify for the Fresh Start programs offered by the IRS to reduce or even eliminate your tax debt. It's just a 5-minute call to get your options, and it's free. If you owe back taxes, have years of unfiled tax returns, under audit, have a wage or bank levy, or finally just want to sleep better, business or personal, call the experts at Republic Tax Relief while there's still time. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and tough. This veteran-owned company has the fight you need to take on the IRS. Don't go at it alone. The call is free. Call their hotline number now, 800-652-1714. That's 800-652-1714. Find out if you qualify today. Call 800-652-1714 or go to republictaxrelief.com.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580. She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Thank you, Miles. Yes, talking with Chris Kazi. Kazi Creative Agency is his organization. They mold, market, and monetize people. Get your act together. It's KaziCA.com. Yeah. Kazi for Creative Agency, KaziCA.com. Yes. And this is kind of a step-by-step process, or what happens when because I've seen the work that you've done, and I talked about it earlier with Queen Afua, who I've been interviewing off and on over the years, many years. And I've seen her go from having maybe a couple thousand followers, and her work was just as great. Her message was just as amazing. But now she's at close to 500,000 on Instagram, and she's getting so much more note. And I love that for her. I see so many people like her, not so many, but some people like her that are just gems in our community that don't have that reach. So what's that process like?
When I first got the call, I met Queen Afua's son. His name is Supernova Islam. And I met him. He worked in the music industry. I met him. He was working with Erykah Badu at the time. And he, fast forward ahead, I had left the music industry after working there for 10 years and wanted to use my skills, talents, and abilities for other things. And I got a call. Actually, I was getting married. This is 2012. And I put out and this is something anybody can use in terms of, letting folks know what you're doing, is I sent out an email blast and I said, hey, if you're looking for these specific things, give me a call. And Supernova's brother gave me a call and said, hey, my mom has a brick and mortar, but she moved to online. And but people are constantly saying when they see her, like, oh, where are you now? And so he saw a lot of the stuff that I was doing online and said, hey, could you help my mom out? And so initially just came on and was helping her to get on, the platforms like Facebook at the time was really burgeoning at that time. And so it's so crazy. 2012 is like right there, but that's how new social media is. Yeah. And so just started kind of helping her with the products that she had. Because I also had, actually, I have a story how I connected with Queen, and it all makes sense of how we used that to get her brand online and out there. Queen, I had ulcers at the time. I was going through some things in my life, and found out I had ulcers, and I went to all these different doctors. So Queen's husband, Baba Samaj, was teaching a class, and I was taking the class, and Queen came in and she was talking about illnesses in the body and how things that you go through can affect the body. And so I said, let me set up a consultation. I went to the consultation, and first question she asked me was, who was I holding a grudge against? And it caught me off guard because I never made the correlation between our emotional health and our physical health. That led to a lot of shifts in my life and healing in my life. And I never forgot that. That might have been maybe 5 years prior.
When you were recovering from the music industry.
Not in the music, but also, foster care. I didn't realize I was holding a lot of grudges and things like that. And, it showed up in my body. But because of that impact, when they asked me to help, I'm like, you know what? all right, let me try to see what I could do to get her products out there. But and so while I was doing that, I was first focusing on the detox products, and then I started marketing her books. And then I put up one of her books, and then her page lit up. And I said, well, what is it about this book? So I came to New York. At the time, I had already moved from New York to Los Angeles. I went to New York to create some content because I felt like, to your point, Queen needed to be more seen. She needed to be more visible. And even though I knew her sons, I didn't really know her. So I went there to interview her, and she didn't really want to be on camera. And, you know, Queen is a person, like a personable person. She likes to be.
Yeah, she's she's got a big personality.
Big personality. So she liked to be with people. So the online thing, and she's from a different era. So the online thing wasn't something she was really into. And then I even found out Queen is very much an introvert. Even though she has a big personality, Queen is an introvert. And like I was telling you earlier, I love people like that. They're more passionate about the work that they're doing than the need to be seen. And so I was moved by what I saw. And I said, well, the world needs to see this. And so I didn't have a method at that time. I'm just really good at marketing. And then over time, I realized that I'm a heart person. And I have an ability to have people's heart be seen. And one of my mentors told me one time, people want to know how much you care before they care how much you know. And so that's how I kind of organically arrived at my method, which is if people could see your heart and understand your heart, people buy you, then they buy what you're selling. And that's my approach. So
people buy you,
yeah.
Then they buy what you're selling.
Yeah. You know, and so, you know, when you think even Tavis Smiley, you know, he's somebody that I always admired over the years because he had, he's in media, but he has a particular angle that's mission driven that, you know, is out to do I call them superheroes, you know, and so that's what I look for. And so the first step is really to just figure that story out. Who are you? Why are you here? Who are you here to serve? Why do you do it? How do you do it? How do people get access to that? And so when you mold, that's what you're really crafting. You're crafting that messaging, it's really a understanding of self-actualization, you know, because I do take a spiritual approach. Why are you here? Why did the Most High craft your being, put you through what you went through in order for you, for you to become who you become? You know, folks could Google this. It's called the hero's journey. We all go through something in life, you know, and the things that you have went through is meant to craft the person you are to become because you're here for a specific mission. And so that's the first phase. Once we understand that phase, I create a lot of content and a brand identity. So similar to sitting in this room, that font that's behind you, that the color, like all of that is by design, is saying something and it's an extension of who you are. So once we have all those tools, then we go to market. We got to get the word out to people through all the channels. Mainly it's social media and all the different platforms. And every platform has a different way that you are supposed to convey
their algorithm.
The algorithm.
Yeah.
And how people consume on that specific
platform. It's funny because my friend who was just here earlier, we were talking about how some people are slaves to the algorithm. Everything's about, I have to post at this time on this day, and I have to post this many times a day. And there is a rebellion against that at some level. But on the other hand, if you don't know it and you're just randomly throwing stuff out there, you can be doing a lot of effort and not getting much result, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of challenging. It is like a battle with the machine, because if the algorithm dictates, then you're, like you said, you're a slave to it and you're creating for it as opposed to using it as a tool to get your message out there. And so there's ways of putting that together.
I mean, it's all over social media right now where you're automatically a lot of people have automatically started following J.D. Vance on Instagram. I checked it yesterday to see if it was another internet rumor, and lo and behold, I was following J.D. Vance.
Wow.
Something I never did. So, algorithms do all kinds of things that we don't know about. I quickly unfollowed.
Right.
But that wasn't the point. The point was
how the algorithm can.
Yeah. How do you get on the winning side of that algorithm and not be run by it, but be able to utilize it, as you said, like a tool.
Yeah, I think one part is to maybe, based on your industry, study your other competitors. And a lot of it is around engagement. Think of it like a credit score or a report card, right? This algorithm is a machine that doesn't really know you and is looking for specific things to see, are you helping me? Meaning that, this radio station here, I'm assuming, has commercials, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So part of keeping people is the content, and if the content does well, then people stay for the commercials. Similarly, if you do great content on any of these platforms, people stay for the commercials, because really that's what those platforms are for. So when you create content, when you look at your report card on that platform, are you getting marks in the right places? And one of those places is engagement. So you go to the pages of people who are in your who think like you or who are in your industry, and you engage. That's one part of your report card. The other part is attention. Can you grab someone's attention? It's hard to grab someone's attention if you're not posting things that just add value. Either add value or I call it shock or cuteness, So if something is just like, oh, wow, that's so shocking, it just grabs your attention. If something is like, oh, that's so sweet. Oh, my.
That's why all the cat videos persist. But I feel like there's also another part, which is people like tragedy and horror. I've noticed that.
But that's the part of the shock.
That's the shock.
That's part of the shock. And awe. We run to the train wreck. And two people who are standing on the corner giving each other a hug, that doesn't move people as much, Right. So
the train wreck, the fight.
Yeah.
But I think the cuteness. Well, many can't rely on that. But
or the tools, It's like I'm trying to see somebody that I follow. I really do like marketing and branding, and so because I love that so much, I follow specific people who add value around that, give me a perspective that I don't have. And so I think people show up on social and they're not thinking about that. Like, how can I really help somebody? What's the best piece of information, content that I could share that's really going to help someone's life? That's where I would start if you're a professional or entrepreneur, even an executive. What can I share that's going to help people? And the score that matters the most right now is not so much likes, it's shares. Because, when you think about it, if you think about the last thing you shared on social, why did you share it? It's either that person believes what you believe, and like that was so valuable and so well said. It's like, oh, I want to get this to somebody. Oh man, my cousin got to see this.
Yeah.
Or there's a guy named Ace Metaphor, a friend of mine. He does this thing called Tonight's Conversation, and he his numbers are crazy, and I could see his shares are always high, partly because he's saying what people want to say but can't articulate, and they share it because that's what they want to say.
We are talking with Chris Kazi. It's Super Branding. After news, traffic, and sports, we'll continue this only right here.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Reverend Al Sharpton is calling for a boycott of companies reversing their DEI programs, stating that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. fought for inclusivity. The National Action Network plans to announce a boycott of at least 2 such companies within 90 days. KKK flyers with derogatory messages are being distributed in cities across Kentucky, Ohio, and Indiana seeking recruits. Officials urge anyone with information to contact the police. Maryland Governor Wes Moore and other black leaders vowed to fight for civil rights during Trump's second term. Moore called President Trump's inauguration speech troubling, and House Speaker Adrian Jones says lawmakers are ready to face new challenges. And after delays due to the Los Angeles wildfires, this year's Oscar nominations will be announced tomorrow by Bowen Yang and Rachel Sennett, live streamed at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. I'm Bree Wood on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers posted their largest victory margin of the season last night. They beat the Washington Wizards by 23, 111-88. LeBron became the second player in NBA history with a triple-double at age 40. The first was Karl Malone in 2003. LeBron had 21 points, 13 assists, and 10 rebounds. The Lakers play Boston Thursday night at Crypto.com. The final Associated Press Top 25 college football poll, which came out Tuesday, should give USC and UCLA a lot to think about after moving to the Big Ten Conference last year. 3 of the top 5 teams are in the Big Ten. National champion Ohio State, number 3 Oregon, and number 5 Penn State. Indiana, which also made the 12-team playoffs, finishes the season at number 10. It could be a while before USC and UCLA become contenders in football in the Big Ten. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
The first time I tried to quit vaping, I told myself that it was like a mountain that I had to climb over. And once I got to the other side, it would be clear. But I couldn't make it over. What really got me to quit was my little sister. I saw her vaping. So I was back in the mountain, but this time, she was up there with me. It's weird what you can do for others that you won't do for yourself.
Every attempt is part of your story to quit for good. Visit Kick It California today at kickitca.org.
Joe Montana here. In my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense. Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease. Are you 50 or older like me? The CDC now recommends vaccination against pneumococcal disease. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at increased risk and over 6 times greater risk of hospitalization with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50. Schedule your appointment today at vaxassist.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
The new year brings new health goals and wealth goals. Protecting your identity is an important step. Your info is in endless places that could expose you to identity theft, leading to lost funds. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Resolve to make identity health and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
The following is not a contest and is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways with the purpose of soliciting sales or vacation ownership. For complete details, please visit fvgradio.com. If you want a complimentary stay in Cancun at a luxury resort, then Family Vacation Getaways may have your ticket to paradise. We're giving away a 5-day and 4-night stay to the first qualified 50 callers who can name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. An animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. Do you know it? Call now, 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431. You may also be eligible for an exciting bonus vacation to Orlando, Florida for just $398. And don't worry about anything ruining your plans. We can extend your travel up to 18 months. Name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird, and you may be eligible to get a complimentary Cancun resort stay and an optional bonus vacation to Orlando for just $398. What are you waiting for? Call 800-868-6431. Again, call 800-868-6431 and give us your answer.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
Chris Kazi is our guest. I hesitate to even go into your bio because I don't want people to be confused, but hopefully they won't be. We're talking about, super branding, but you have been through many an iteration. I said you're a serial entrepreneur yourself, a philanthropist. You founded something called the Hip Hop Project, arts education and organization. We should have had you here for our first hour when we were talking about whether Snoop should have been at the inauguration. Hip hop, but you use the music to mentor people, to help young people. And you founded Apex, a nonprofit that does college prep. Yeah. And you also have Together Apart, which is a relationship. Yes. So and you have Super Mega Foods. Yes. So for people like us, I'm a Gemini. We do a lot of things.
Different things. Yeah.
Is that a danger of dispersing our brand and people not knowing you for a specific thing?
It can be. I'm 48 years old, so I lived a little, so I've done a lot of different things. I think you have to find your through thread. Your through thread is, even though you may do multiple things, you're really doing one thing. And all those things that you mentioned, I'm just the marketing arm of those particular things. With Apex, I just was helping to get the word out about the tour. My co-founder and I, he did a lot of the programming and things like that. The Hip Hop Project, that specifically was me, but a lot of it was just marketing. I went to a specialized high school that was project-based, and I met a philanthropist who was a teacher there. I didn't know at the time that he was the biggest funder of the school, and he connected with me through hip hop. And I said, man, I would come to school every day if I could use hip hop. He said, well, what would that look like? And that's kind of where I started to figure out what my skills were. And so he said, well, why don't you write down your ideas? And so I would write them down, and over the course of my high school journey, and then by the time as I graduated, he said I'd like to fund that, and I came to find out he's like a very wealthy philanthropist who was the biggest funder of my school, and also came in and did this innovative program. I used his program as a template and went out and started the Hip Hop Project. But anyway, along my journey, there's always been a through thread of personal development, making the world better, and so. On any team or any project that I've worked on, I really was about marketing and impact. And so if you look at all the things that I've done, even, Super Mega Foods, which is a plant-based supplement company, really Supernova, who's the founder of the company, a good friend of mine, Queen of Food's son, and they needed someone on, sometimes I do a creative payment. So instead of paying me, I get equity in the company, and I just bring my skills, talents, abilities. And so I'm really still doing just one thing on everything that I'm doing. It just shows up in
back to the
multiple
through
ways.
line.
You got to find it.
And if you want to know more about that hip hop project, they can look for the documentary, right?
Yes, yeah. So Bruce Willis and Queen Latifah, they made a film about that journey. Talking about this kid who came from the West Indies, came to America, and music was a healing tool. And I was able to work in the music industry and bring young artists and teach them the creative and the corporate sides of the business. Work with Russell Simmons and people like Jay-Z, so the kids learn both sides, and it was documented, and so you could watch it. You could just Google Hip Hop Project, and you'll be able to watch the documentary on multiple platforms. His
name is Chris Kazi, and those folks joining in the YouTube chat are joining late. Chris Kazi, and it is Kazi Creative Agency. Yeah. You can find them online, Kazi with a K, K-A-Z-I, yes. CA.com, KaziCA.com. So let's say you're working with someone. We'll take Miles Lowe. He's a rap artist, independent artist, quite talented. Mm-hmm. What's the first thing you do?
I think first thing is just find out his story. A lot of times people, they look at what other people are doing and they copy that and don't realize that they are sitting on a gold mine. And the gold mine is just themselves. But
the essence of who you actually are.
Right. And a lot of times that we don't give that value because you've been with it your whole life. You kind of don't even realize that some of the most interesting things about yourself is the things that you don't share.
That we don't share. Our secrets.
Our secret.
Well, okay. So actually, Miles does a pretty great job of marketing himself. Go to Miles Lowe Music. But let's say you go to someone who's been in the business for a while, like me or a Tavis or somebody like that. Yeah.
I call it one of the classic lines from Jay-Z is allow me to reintroduce myself. A lot of people from our era, we existed before there was the internet.
Right.
So there's pictures that are sitting in a file somewhere or in a photo album that people would find interesting, knowing your story. So I call it allow me to reintroduce myself is, can you aggregate all of your story and reintroduce yourself in these bite-sized pieces and create basically a story over the course of multiple posts, and people will be like, oh, wow. And that's remember I said that people buy you, then they buy what you're selling. And so if you could tell your story in a way that brings people in, then they'll be more curious about the other things that you are trying to sell.
That's a good point. I think also with activists, you know, use my friend Dr. Melina Abdullah of Black Lives Matter Grassroots as an example that have been around and they're doing the work. But maybe marketing or branding seems like it's not revolutionary or whatever. But that's how you get your message out. So where would you start with someone like that?
I think someone like that is her why, right, would be very powerful. When you think about, I forgot the name of this company, but because of them, we can, I think it's called something like that. And they had pictures of kids telling these stories of these kind of like black historical figures. So is there a way for her to tell her story that becomes more interesting?
Oh yeah, I follow them because of them.
Because of them,
they have
like
little nuggets of Black history, or
right,
and not even old history. Some of it's very recent. Yeah.
So it's understanding the psychology of people and how can you make what it is you do palatable. And sometimes, to your point, people that may not be their skill, but if you work with somebody who knows how to put it together, and I stumbled into it. It's just I was always kind of this person, but I didn't realize it until I started working with people, and then I started to see that through thread of that storytelling. And so, but to anybody listening, I think the main thing is realizing your story matters, and everything that you've been through is by design. There may be different people who have listening who have a different relationship to the Most High. You may call it different things, but if you do have a relationship, the question is, why was I created, and how can I tell that story and the things that you've been through, and how that led to the work that you do. And as you tell that story, you're going to reel in people. There's a great talk on TED. It's called Simon Sinek. It's called Why. Start with the why.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the most watched TED Talks in history of TED Talk. But anyway, it's just this idea, if you tell your why and how you came to be, that why will resonate with people. And a lot of people don't do that. And I think that's a great place to start. There's multiple other things, but if I could give you one thing, because they say people don't always remember you give them too much information, the one thing is just say, how can I tell my story?
Yeah, well, it's really interesting because it's almost like a spiritual, purpose-driven approach to branding, which is very much the opposite of what I often hear. Colors and what pops and placement.
But that's actually part of it, right? Because colors are spiritual. In fact, a lot of times when I look at a client, I look through their pictures and start to see that there are colors that they wear a lot, or that they resonate, or they look best in, and they don't even know it. A lot of it is already there, and so I guess that's the mark of somebody who studies this stuff, that you start to recognize things. And but that's one that I think everyone can first start with, is just because we're all really thinking that, like, why I would hope we are. Why am I here? Like, what am I supposed to do? Right. And that's why some people don't even choose the thing that they're supposed to do, because they're looking for their why, or they've never really stopped to think of the why. They're looking outside of themselves. They're looking at what other people are doing, or that person is being successful. Maybe I need to be more like them,
right?
Rather than just saying, well, hey, what is my gifts, talents, and abilities? What am I most passionate about? And why did God send me here?
How can I be more like me?
How can I be more like me? And there's a movie. It's called The Surrogates. It stars Bruce Willis, and it's about kind of similar to the time that we're in. There's this rich guy who you can buy a robot, and that robot is the perfect example of you. You never have to go outside. You can send your surrogate. You can send this perfect version of you that has no flaws and things like that. And so a lot of us are doing that. You meet someone in a relationship, you're meeting this surrogate. You're not meeting the real them, right? Because they think, if you knew who I really was, maybe you wouldn't love me. But if you look at a lot of the brands that are, or personal brands that are winning right now, they are people who are unapologetically themselves. Yeah. Even our new president, we don't love him, but when he discovered something, which was, even when he did his
there's a market for Words I can't say on the radio.
Indeed. Because I think people don't really like the over-polished, overdone. They're looking for raw and somewhat real. So what he did, he went on a lot of podcasts. And powerful platforms. But the podcasts are becoming more influential than even, the traditional platforms. Obama did the same thing in his era. He got on social media and got to the people. And a lot of it is showing this side of yourself that you don't feel comfortable showing.
Right, and that you're not even allowed to show, actually, in traditional media.
Indeed.
Talking with Chris Kazi. Kazi Creative Agency is one of his businesses. Super branding, our topic today on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
The new year brings new health goals and wealth goals. Protecting your identity is an important step. Your info is in endless places that could expose you to identity theft, leading to lost funds. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Resolve to make identity health and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
You say you never give in to a meltdown and never fill your feed with kid photos. You say you'd never put a pacifier in your mouth to clean it and never let them run wild through the grocery store. So when you say you'd never let them get into a car without you there, no, it can happen. 1 in 4 hot car deaths happen when a kid gets into an unlocked car and can't get out. Never happens. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
That was another way. I would smoke once an hour. That didn't work either. All that would happen at some point of the day, I would end up doubling up. Other ways that I tried to quit was I stopped buying cigarettes totally. But if I took 3 puffs off of 15 friends, those didn't count because they weren't my cigarettes and they weren't full cigarettes. I went through a lot.
Every attempt is part of your story to quit for good. Visit Kick It California today at kickitca.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach? Transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal? Prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Talking with Chris Kazi, Kazi Creative Agency. You got a workshop this weekend.
Yes, it's called Marketing Me.
Marketing Me.
Yeah, Marketing Me. So under Kazi Creative Agency, there are people who don't always work with me directly. So, but I love teaching. And some of my greatest experiences in life has been people who have taught me. And so we got to always, pay it forward. And so I try to do workshops to help people figure out how to market themselves in this new time. One challenge that a lot of people have, and we'll go over this Saturday, is it's hard to do the work that you are out to do and serve the people and do social media. Social media is a full-time job.
Yeah.
But the beauty of it is that, like I mentioned at the top of the show, is that it's about becoming more recognized. When people are constantly inundated, there's more content created like in one day than prior to the social media that's been created in a lifetime. So in order to be top of mind, you have to be consistent in content. It's hard to do that and do your full-time job. So one of the things that I do with a lot of clients is show them how to batch create, how to create a lot of content in a short amount of time, and then how to use automation to trickle it out over time, because a lot of it is just staying on people's mind. If you look at people like Gary Vaynerchuk, Alex Hormozi, among others, Mel Robbins, a lot of it is being able to create content on in these bite-sized pieces and stay on top of mind of people. Because when people make a purchase, they usually purchase from the person that's top of mind, or the brand that's top of mind.
What they last thought about in that space. That makes sense. So tell folks how to connect with your workshop.
Oh, you can just follow me on any social platform at Chris Kazi Rolle. You can go to my website at chriskazirolle.com. I'm on everything. So you just follow chriskazirolle.com and you'll see you could go to chriskazirolle.com and get to all my social networks, or if you're on any social network, just find me, Chris Kazi Rolle, and you'll see everything that I'm up to on there.
Okay, so people can tap in that way, because as you're saying, not everyone is going to be able to work with your agency directly, but you're also training folks how to do their own stuff.
Indeed.
And some of us got so much content and just never end up posting it because we don't have time to post it.
It's too much work.
It's like, okay, I did this, I did that, and oh well, I got to do the next thing.
Indeed. And so you have this wealth that's sitting on a hard drive, a wealth that's sitting around the internet. And so I'm very good. And my team, we gather and aggregate all of that content. And like I said earlier, allow me to reintroduce myself. You have to, there's an old song by Roy Jones, the boxer. It's called "Y'all Must Have Forgot."
Oh, that used to be my celebrity crush, so I know the song.
Oh yeah. A lot of people say I look like Roy Jones for many years. But
I can see it.
But that's one of my favorite boxers as well. But
he was amazing.
He has a song called
"Y'all Must Have Forgot."
Yeah, must have forgot. So you got to constantly remind people.
I forgot about that. I did forget.
Yeah, and
that's
also,
hilarious.
because a lot of our stuff that I'm sure that you have done as well, is sitting on actual photographs, right, and or VHS or DVDs.
Don't get me started.
But that stuff is really interesting. That stuff is really interesting.
Tapes, yeah.
Dat tapes,
right?
Tapes.
Oh,
you took it back. So, but yeah, I think a lot of it is if you're from that era, there's various strategies to use, but a lot of it is just saying, well, how can I retell my story? And give people a little more insight into me and why I do what I do.
What's the biggest mistake that you see folks that, you say our era, but people that aren't Gen Y and Z, Z and A, people that were working before there was all of this social media? I think, my child and the next generation down, they're native, digital natives.
Yeah, I think.
What's the biggest mistake people are making?
I think the biggest mistake people are making is they're not taking advantage of realizing the era that we're in. And they overthink.
That would be me.
Yeah. A lot of what I do is like production. When you think about it, a lot of marketing, you have to produce content. But we're from the era where you produce and get it polished and then present it. But the era that we're in is you're documenting and sharing your journey
in real time. Yeah.
And, it's hard for people to just do it because you got to get it all together. But it's not
funny.
Enough time.
My son even told me that. He's like, "Mom, that's too much like a newscaster. Nobody wants to watch that." Like, wow, that's cold. But it makes sense. I mean, a lot of folks, it's hard to come without a filter, without makeup, to expose those secrets and lay ourselves bare.
Yeah, but that's the secret sauce. And that's why not everyone kind of breaks through. Because you look at this, bad example, but what's the Spanish rapper from New York? Female,
Cardi B?
Cardi B, you know. A lot of people were hating on Cardi B, but that's what people loved about her. Mike Tyson. You know, if you think of some of the people that you love that have become the sweetheart of the world, it is because they don't care as much. And because we don't care, they are showing a part of themselves, a humanity that resonates. Authenticity resonates across culture, across gender, because I'm just me.
I mean, I get that, but it feels like a counterintuitive, because then you see the Kardashians, there's nothing authentic about them. And yet they're gazillionaires.
I would say there is authenticity running through
Authentic inauthenticity?
There is a crafting of them, because part of it is volume, right? If you think of volume, don't think of volume as just the sound, the octave or the sound of the voice. Volume is the avalanche, because they have been avalanching people, and then part of their gift is you got to find what your gift is. For them, I think part of their gift is also aesthetics.
Yeah, no, I mean I understand that, but I'm just saying in a world of fake booties, filters, endless makeup, you know, weevaliciousness, then you know, authenticity seems counterintuitive, but no.
But to my understanding of that of those people, they are authentically themselves. Even though we may categorize it in a certain way, that's who they are. They're about the glitz, the glamour, aspirational lifestyle, aesthetics. And so they're using their gift. Now, somebody else's gift might be something different. And that's what you have to figure out is, and sometimes it's hard to see the picture when you're in the frame. So that's how someone like myself, an objective viewer, that we get in our own way, or we may look what someone else is doing that's authentic to them, and maybe that's not us. Yeah. And so you could judge it and say, well, I don't like that because of whatever those reasons, because I'm more this way. And that's what you have to put out there and figure what that is.
Right.
If you compare yourself to them, you could look at yourself and just saying, well, you know, what I have to offer is not what would resonate with
comparison
people.
Is always a trap.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Remind folks again how to reach out to you and find your work.
Chris Kazi Rolle on all platforms. That's ChrisKaziRolle.
Chris Kazi Rolle on all platforms. Okay. Do you have a short slogan or motto?
Motto, I would say is what I was saying before. It's like, you know, people buy you, then they buy what you're selling. You know, who you are is a journey of self-discovery. And a lot of us, you know, instead of looking out, we need to close our eyes and go within.
Yes,
and just
absolutely.
say, hey, you know, why am I here?
Absolutely. Well, we'll leave you with that. I usually leave with a quote. I'm leaving you with that. Tavis Smiley's up next. He's got a full and complete lineup. Like usual, don't forget to find me on my socials, inauthentic or otherwise. It's KBLA 1580 or DiPrima Radio, DiPrima, and then radio. Like my mama used to say, history is now, and we are making it together. We've got a great show for you tomorrow as well. You don't want to miss it. But until tomorrow, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood.